My wife's phone lit up with a text from her lawyer friend. Wait for the opportune time. We weren't in any legal trouble. She wasn't suing anyone. So what the hell was she waiting for? Hey, this is Chris. I'm not the jealous type. Never have been. 38 years old, build a contracting business from nothing, own a few properties around town, live comfortably. Not mansion-level rich, but I'm doing better than most guys I grew up with. Took years of 12-hour days, missed birthdays, eating cold pizza at job sites at midnight. But I got there, and I thought Alicia got that about me. Thought she liked that I was solid, grounded. Not flashy, but reliable. We'd been married 3 years. Good years, honestly. She ran this event planning business, weddings, corporate stuff, that kind of thing. Made decent money. Had her own clients, her own hustle. I respected that. I mean, come on. I didn't want some housewife sitting around spending my money. I wanted a partner. Tuesday night, we were on the couch watching some cooking show she liked. Her phone lit up on the coffee table. Text from Maya, her friend from college. Works at some law firm downtown. I saw the preview. Wait for the opportune time. And I just sat there for a second. Because Alicia's not planning anything. Not that I know of. No big business move. No lawsuit. No family mess. So what the hell is she waiting on? I mean, maybe it's nothing. But it didn't feel like nothing. It stuck. Alicia grabbed her phone, read the message, typed something back. Her face didn't change. No reaction at all. She put it down and went back to scrolling Instagram or whatever. I looked back at the TV, told myself I was reading into it. Next day, she asked me about my land development project. How long until the zoning approval came through? When I expected the payout. Now, I've been working on this deal for 2 years. Buying up parcels on the edge of town, rezoning, getting permits, lining up investors. Serious money once it closes. Alicia knew about it, but she'd never cared about the details before. I'd mention it, she'd nod, that was that. So why now? Why is she suddenly interested in timelines? I told her probably 6 months, maybe 8. She said that was great, went back to whatever she was doing. And I'm thinking, okay, maybe she's just being supportive, trying to take more interest in my work. That's a good thing, right? Except it felt calculated, like she was gathering information. Friday, we went out to dinner. She ordered the expensive wine, the $40 glass stuff she usually skips. She was in this great mood, laughing, relaxed. Asked me again about the project. Had I talked to my lawyer recently? Was everything locked in with the investors? I said, yeah, mostly. Just waiting on final permits. She smiled, squeezed my hand, said she was proud of me. And part of me thought, see, you're being paranoid. She's happy for you. But another part of me kept hearing that message. Wait for the opportune time. Saturday morning, I'm in the garage organizing tools. She comes out, leans against the door frame, asks if the land deal's going to change our tax situation. If I've talked to an accountant about structuring the payout. That stopped me cold. Alicia's never asked about tax strategy in her life. She handles her business, I handle mine, we file jointly and call it good. I said, yeah, I'd talk to an accountant. Why? She shrugged, said she'd just been thinking about long-term planning, smart money stuff. And I'm standing there holding a drill thinking, since when do you care about smart money stuff? Since when do you ask about tax structuring? I didn't say it, just nodded, went back to sorting tools. But now I'm not dismissing it anymore. Now I'm paying attention. Because here's the thing, I've been in business long enough to know what it looks like when someone's gathering intel. When a contractor asks too many questions about your budget, your timeline, your other bids. When an investor wants to know exactly when you're liquid and how much you're holding. It's a tell. And Alicia was asking a lot of questions. Sunday, she was on her phone constantly. Texting Maya, I assume. I didn't ask. I just watched. She went out, came back with groceries and a new purse. She was humming while she put things away. Good mood again. I sat there with my coffee thinking about the last week. The questions about money, the interest in timelines, the expensive wine, the lawyer friend saying wait for the opportune time. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe I'm connecting dots that aren't there. But you know what? I don't think so. My gut's telling me something's off. Not screaming, just whispering. And I've learned to listen to that whisper. So I decided right then, I'm just going to stay alert. Keep my eyes open. See where this goes. Because if it's nothing, no harm done. And if it's something, I'd rather see it coming than get blindsided. I went back to my coffee. Alicia was still humming in the kitchen, and I just watched.
Hey there, Alicia here. I wasn't always like this. When I met Chris, I actually liked him. Genuinely. He was 35, had his contracting business running smooth, owned a few properties, drove a clean truck. Not flashy, but successful. Stable. And after years of dating guys who talked big and delivered nothing, stable felt like winning the lottery. The first year of marriage was easy. I loved coming home to him. Loved that dinner out wasn't a budget crisis. Loved that when my AC died in the middle of summer, it was just, oh, we'll get it fixed. No drama. No panic. Just handled. But then I started noticing things. Maya, my friend from college, works as a paralegal at some law firm downtown. Last year she took 3 weeks in Italy. Stayed in villas. Ate at restaurants I couldn't even pronounce. Posted these stunning photos every single day. And I'm sitting there thinking, when's the last time Chris and I went anywhere? The beach. For days. Holiday Inn. And Chris's business partner's wife, Jennifer? She doesn't work. At all. She does Pilates and has lunch with friends and lives in this massive house with a pool and one of those outdoor kitchens that costs more than my car. Meanwhile, I'm busting my ass planning weddings for entitled brides who argue over tablecloth colors, barely breaking even most months. Chris makes 3, maybe 4 times what I do. And his land development project, the one he's been working on for 2 years, that thing's going to pay out millions. Actual millions. He's been buying up parcels on the edge of town, dealing with zoning, lining up investors. It's almost done. 6 months, maybe 8, and he's going to be set for life. And I'm going to still be arguing with vendors about share rentals. It started eating at me. I'd watch him at dinner talking about permit approvals and investor meetings, and I'd think, where's my payout? Where's my reward for working just as hard? One night I texted Maya, just venting. Said Chris is about to make millions, and I'm still grinding for scraps. This is such bullshit. She texted back, how much is the payout? I said, he thinks 3 to 4 million, maybe more. She said, and you're married, so half is yours. I stared at that text. Typed back, yeah, I guess technically. She said, not technically. Legally. Community property. Then she said, have you thought about what you'd do with 2 million? And I just sat there. Because no, I hadn't really thought about it in concrete terms. But now that she said it like that, I couldn't stop thinking about it. I texted, I mean, obviously I've thought about it, but we're not getting divorced. She said, I'm just saying, if you ever did, you'd be set for life. I didn't respond right away. But that number sat in my head. 2 million. Maybe more. I could stop working entirely. Travel. Buy a place somewhere I actually wanted to live. Never stress about money again. The next day I texted her, hypothetically, if someone wanted to leave after a big payout, how would that work? Maya texted back a long message. Said the key is timing. Said you can't file right when the money hits because that looks opportunistic. Makes it obvious you're after the cash. Said you have to let the payout happen first. Let it sit for a while, then file. 6 months minimum. Make it look like you just grew apart naturally. I read that message 3 times. Then I texted, so wait until after the money comes in and then wait some more? She said exactly. Wait for the opportune time. Don't rush it. Let him think everything's fine. Then when enough time has passed, you file and it just looks like the marriage ran its course. I texted, and I'd still get half even if I wait. She said, it's community property. Doesn't matter when you file as long as you're still married when the payout happens. Once that money hits your joint accounts, it's yours too. I sat there staring at my phone. It was that simple. Just wait. Let the deal close. Let the money come in. Wait a few more months. Then file. I texted, you'd help me with this? She said, of course. What are friends for? And just like that, I had a plan. Not just a vague idea. An actual plan. I started watching Chris's timeline more carefully. Started asking questions about the project. When would zoning approval come through? When did he expect the payout? How much exactly? I texted Maya updates. Told her he said 6 to 8 months until closing. Told her he mentioned the payout might be closer to 5 million, depending on how the final numbers shook out. She texted back, "So you're looking at 2.5 million minimum. That's fuck you money, Alicia." And she was right. That was fuck you money. That was never work again money. That was live however I want money. I texted, "I feel kind of bad about it." She said, "Why? You've been married to him for 3 years. You've supported him. You've earned it. This isn't a scam, it's literally your legal right." And she was right about that too. I wasn't stealing from him. I was taking what I was entitled to. What I'd earned by being his wife, by sticking around, by playing the role. Maya texted me reminders. Don't tip your hand. Document everything but be subtle about it. Keep playing the happy wife. And I did. I smiled when he talked about investor meetings. I asked about timelines. I let him think everything was perfect. Because in a year, maybe 14 months, I'd be gone. And I'd be set for life.
I gave it a week. Watched her ask her questions. Watched her check her phone. Watched her play the loving wife. And that whole time, that message sat in the back of my head. Wait for the opportune time. Sunday night, she went to bed early. Said she had a headache. I stayed up, sat on the couch with a beer, and I thought about it. About whether I was being paranoid or smart. About whether I should just let it go or actually look. I looked. Her phone was charging on the kitchen counter. I picked it up, opened it. No passcode between us. Never had been. That's what married people do, right? Trust each other. I went to her text with Maya. And there it was. Everything. The whole goddamn plan spelled out in black and white. Alicia asking how much the payout was worth. Maya saying half is yours. Alicia asking how divorce works. Maya explaining timing. Don't file right when the money hits. Wait 6 months. Make it look natural. Alicia asking how to make sure she gets her half. Maya telling her to document everything. Play the supportive wife. Don't tip your hand. I scrolled through weeks of messages. Alicia updating Maya on my timeline. Maya reminding her to be patient. Alicia saying she felt kind of bad. Maya saying she'd earned it. It was her legal right. When this is over, I'm buying you the nicest bottle of wine I can find. When this is over, you can buy me a whole vineyard. I took screenshots. Every single message. Sent them to my email. Deleted the sent messages from her phone so she wouldn't know. Put her phone back on the counter exactly where I found it. Then I sat back down on the couch and just stared at the wall. She didn't marry me because she loved me. She married me because I had money. And now she was counting down the months until she could cash out and leave. She'd already picked the timeline. Already had her exit strategy. She was just waiting for me to make her rich first. I wasn't angry. That's the weird part. I thought I'd be furious, but I wasn't. I was just cold, calm, clear. Because here's what Alicia didn't understand. I didn't build a successful business by being naive. I didn't get here by being easy to con. I called my lawyer first thing Monday morning. Said I needed to see him. Today. We met at his office that afternoon. I walked in, sat down, and he asked what was going on. I said I want to file for divorce. He leaned back in his chair. Said okay. And what's the situation? I pulled out my phone and showed him the screenshots. He read through them. Took his time. When he finished, he looked up at me and said, "This is damning. But I need to ask, how did you get these?" I said they're from her phone. He said, "Did you have permission to access her phone?" I said, "No passcode between us. But more importantly, I pay for the phone plan. It's my account. Since we got married." He nodded slowly. Said then there's no privacy violation. You're the account holder. You had legal right to access the messages. These are admissible. I said, "So what happens now?" He said, "We file immediately. We don't wait for her to make a move. We hit her first. And we use these messages to argue that this marriage was fraudulent from the start, or at minimum, that she has no claim to equitable distribution because she was planning to manipulate the system." I said, "How long to draw up the papers?" He said, "I can have them ready by end of week." I said, "Do it." and I want to serve her when she's not expecting it. No warning, no conversation, just papers. He said that you're right. I'll prepare everything. I left his office and went back to work. Back to my normal life. The next few days were strange. I went through the motions. Went to work, came home, had dinner with my wife. She kept asking questions about the project, kept texting Maya, kept playing her role. And I let her, because the longer she thought everything was fine, the harder she'd fall when it wasn't. My lawyer called me Thursday afternoon, said the papers were ready. He texted back, "We'll serve her tomorrow." Wednesday morning, I left for work like normal. Alicia was still in bed. She mumbled something and rolled over. She called me later. I was on a job site. She was crying, screaming. Said, "What the fuck is this, Chris? What the fuck did you do?" I said I filed for divorce. She said, "Why? Why would you do this?" I said, "Check your text messages with Maya. The ones where you plan the whole thing." The line went quiet. Then she said, "You went through my phone?" I said, "It's my phone, Alicia. My account. My plan. You just used it." She said, "Those are private." I said, "No, they're not. And my lawyer agrees. You documented your entire scheme. You planned to wait until I was flush and then walk away with half. You thought you were being smart." She was crying harder now. Said, "I wasn't trying to hurt you. I said you were trying to rob me. There's a difference." She said, "I'm entitled to half." I said, "Not anymore." She tried to say something else, but I hung up. I didn't feel bad. Didn't feel guilty. I just felt relieved.
My lawyer looked at the papers, looked at me, and said, "This is bad." I said, "What do you mean bad? We're married. I'm entitled to half." He said, "Normally, yes, but he's filing on grounds of fraud, and he has evidence." He turned his laptop around, showed me screenshots, my text messages with Maya, every single one. The whole conversation about timing, about waiting for the payout, about making it look natural, about buying her a vineyard when it was over. My stomach dropped. I said, "But those are private conversations." My lawyer said, "Whose phone plan is it?" I just stared at him. He said if he's the account holder, he had legal access. These aren't inadmissible. These are evidence. He said, "Not when they document intent to defraud your spouse out of marital assets." Alicia, you laid out the entire plan in writing. You even joked about buying your friend a vineyard with his money. I said it was our money. Community property. He said, "That's what we'll argue. But I need you to understand, this is bad. You documented premeditated financial exploitation. That's how a judge is going to see it." I said, "So what do we do?" He said, "We go to court. We argue community property law." But Alicia, you need to prepare yourself. This might not go the way you want. I left his office feeling sick. Sat in my car for 20 minutes. Everything I'd planned. Everything I'd counted on. Chris had known the whole time. And I'd been stupid enough to put it all in writing. I called Maya. I said, "Chris filed for divorce. He has our texts. All of them. Silence." I said, "Maya, he knows everything. The whole plan." She said, "How did he access your phone?" I said he didn't need to. He pays for it. He looked at the account. She said, "Fuck. Then, don't mention my name in court." I said, "What?" She said, "I'm serious, Alicia. I was giving you advice as a friend. If they try to say I was acting as a lawyer or coaching you, that's a problem for me. Keep my name out of it." Then she hung up. I tried calling back. She didn't answer. Didn't answer the next day either. Or the day after that. She ghosted me. The next few months were hell. Depositions. Discovery. My lawyer trying to build a case, while Chris's lawyer buried us with evidence. Every text message. Every question I'd asked Chris about the payout. Every timeline I tracked. They made me look like a con artist. And maybe that's what I was. Chris wouldn't look at me. Wouldn't speak to me. I tried texting him once. Tried to explain that I wasn't trying to hurt him, that I just wanted security. He didn't respond. My business started falling apart. Clients heard about the divorce. Heard about the fraud allegations. Started canceling. Said they didn't feel comfortable working with me anymore. I had to shut it down. 3 years of building that business, and I just closed the doors. Let it die. I moved into a 1-bedroom apartment. Small. Cheap. Nothing like the Miami condo I'd imagined. The hearing was in December. We sat in the courtroom, my lawyer and me on one side, Chris and his lawyer on the other. Chris in a suit, looking calm, looking like he'd already won. His lawyer stood up and presented the text messages. Put them up on a screen for the judge to see. Read them out loud. Every word I'd written. Every stupid, greedy word. The judge read through them herself. Didn't take long. Maybe 10 minutes. Then she looked at me. Said you documented a plan to defraud your spouse out of marital assets. You timed your exit to maximize financial gain. You conspired with a third party to strategize how to exploit community property law. My lawyer stood up. Said, Your Honor, community property law is clear. Regardless of intent. She cut him off. Said intent absolutely matters. Bad faith matters. This isn't a marriage that broke down naturally. This is financial exploitation. Premeditated and documented. She looked back at me. Said you're not entitled to rewards for fraud. Then she ruled. 0. I get nothing. My lawyer tried to say something else, but she was done. Case closed. I sat there. Couldn't move. Couldn't breathe. Nothing. After 3 years. After all that planning. After everything. Nothing. Chris walked past me. Didn't look at me. Didn't say a word. Just walked out with his lawyer. And that was it. I'm in my apartment now. 1 bedroom. Cracked tiles in the bathroom. The heat doesn't work right. I'm waiting tables at a restaurant downtown because no one will hire me for event planning anymore. Word got around. I'm the woman who tried to con her husband, who planned the whole thing in text messages like an idiot. I see Chris sometimes. Around town. He's doing fine. Still has his business. Still has his properties. I heard he's dating someone new. Younger. Probably smarter than me. Maya never called back. Just disappeared. Guess she didn't want to be associated with the mess. I think about it a lot. About what I could have had if I hadn't been so greedy. If I'd just been happy with the life we had, Chris would have taken care of me. We could have traveled. Could have lived well. I didn't need millions. I didn't need to scheme. But I wanted it all. Wanted to walk away rich and free. Wanted to never work again. And instead I'm here. 36 years old. Broke. Alone. Starting over with nothing.